I'm Adam Green. I wrote and directed.
I'm Kane Hodder. I am a big pussy.
Don't use that.
I knew certain aspects would be more explored than others, but I definitely wanted to let the way he told the story kind of dictate the film.
I didn't really think that we were going to go like to the hospital. That was a place of great pain and stuff, but we were going to visit the place that saved my life instead of the place that almost killed me.
You could have gone two ways when this all happened to you. You either would have given up completely, but you didn't. You actually went on and still, did stunts.
While being in the hospital, I never once considered maybe this isn't the line of work for me. I did think about maybe not doing fire stunts anymore. I went right back to that too, because I always loved being on fire. I know it sounds ridiculous, but when you're on fire, there's nothing else that matters except what you're doing.
I'm not the sort of actor who sits in his trailer. I've always sat by the camera and always watched the director. When you're sitting next to Fincher or Joe Wright or Guy Ritchie, so eventually anyone who works in front of the camera is going to want to work behind the camera.
Was an element of following your dad's footsteps?
My old man, Gordon Fleming, was a director. When I was directing, occasionally he was a bit sort of romantic and silly, but I'd go, "Dad, what should I do?" And this voice would go, "Tell them you want more time, Jason. Tell them you want more time."
First vampire I've ever played. And it's probably the oldest vampire you'll ever see.
Was your character a bit badass?
Yes.
The haunting as such is not your traditional one. There's not a quote-unquote ghost, really.
It's not traditionally big scares. It's a kind of murder mystery with payoffs.
It's that aha moment, that surprise that makes it so much fun.
It's just one of those things that if you say anything, then you're gonna, right.
Is he batshit crazy? Or is he seeing a ghost? Where is this going?
I don't want to spoil it.
You don't want it spoiled.
We actually shot in Dover, in two Napoleonic forts that are built into the cliffs in Dover. The only way in is through a tunnel that's 4 foot high, 30 foot long. So we had to take the actors, the crew, and all the equipment through this tunnel. It's probably the most inhospitable location you can think of shooting.
The film is Death Laid an Egg, which is a 1968 kind of anti-Giallo, proto-Giallo film by an Italian director called Giulio Questi, who did Django Kill and Arcana.
It's sort of a lost Italian classic, really. I mean, it's been released on VHS and stuff over the years, but not in this version.
This version has never been seen in this length since 1970, when it only screened once.
A group of people who come together in the house as a reunion. Events happen that really put them against each other, and it becomes a question of how much can you trust your friendship, really.
Why did you choose the southwest Scotland? Because it could have been, it's all set in a house, it could have been anywhere.
It's a weird house. It's you really do, you walk in and you feel like 1972 is still going on when you walk into that house. The whole thing was built around the location, really.
Directing teams are rare, but they're actually becoming slightly more common. How do you find working, doing what is essentially one job between two people?
Yeah, it's supernatural for us. We've been working together for the last 10 years, and we do everything on set. It's like sometimes he goes to talk to the actors, I talk with the DP, and the next scene it's vice versa. I go with the actors. It's really like we become like a weird blob on set.
It's about the dark side. It's about the dark side. It's about the dark
men in
side.
nappies.
It's nothing to do with me. My wife is a deviant, and she thinks of all the she thinks of all the ideas.
I think it's like any of those things. You get an idea, don't you, and you just run with it. I think you actually thought of the title first.
More than that, we started with the imagery. Very rich, fat, powerful men that dress in nappies.
I won't ruin it too much, but it's pretty far out.
And a lot of the acting wasn't really acting, it was like real life. Oh my God.
Just be careful out there when you're tapping in adult babies, Attack of the Adult Babies, because don't press images,
The reason this happened, I was done after Hatchet 3. These movies are really hard to make. When you watch the special features on the Blu-rays and stuff, they make it seem like it's like we're just having such a fun time. Like, yeah, we're making a movie. And it's not like that. It's painful, it hurts, and by the time we had finished the trilogy that I set out to make, I was so done. And then 2 months later, I'm just filled with self-doubt, and I don't even want to make any movies anymore. and I wound up being asked by George Romero to moderate his panel at a convention in Massachusetts called Rock and Shock. And at the end of the panel, this big standing ovation, and he turns to me and he says, do you see this? And I said, yeah, congratulations. And he's like, no, it's for both of us. I'm like, no, it isn't. And he said, look at all these Hatchet shirts and Holliston shirts and tattoos. How do you not see that what you do matters? And he said, I know you've been going through a hard time. I've heard how bad it really is. I know you're taking Wes's death personally. You can't, and you can't stop. When are you going to give these kids another Crowley picture? And he said, let me tell you something. Until you realize that this is now bigger than you, and it doesn't just belong to you anymore, and until they say it's over, it's not over. He said,